Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Speaker Fahey, for your great remarks, your service, and your leadership. I'd now like to welcome someone who has, for the past 2 years, worked closely with Governor Kotek to lead the Portland Central City Task Force, bringing business, government, and community leaders together to resolve safety, revive downtown's economy, and to rebuild confidence in Portland. Dan McMillan's steady, collaborative leadership has been essential in charting a path for the city and for the entire region. Please welcome the President and CEO of The Standard, Dan McMillan.
Good afternoon. We are, I think this is called Act 3, so this means we're in the home stretch, and we're looking forward, we're looking ahead. So in that vein, it is my honor to introduce today Governor Tina Kotek. And most of you know that Governor Kotek has spent most of her time in state government and leadership roles, particularly in the legislature, also a historic tenure as Speaker of the House, where she emphasized affordable housing, mental health services, and some of the critical priorities in her tenure reaching out to marginalized communities around the state. Over the past 2 years, as mentioned before, I've had the opportunity to work with the governor as co-chair of the Central City Task Force. And some people say to me, so what's that like, working with the governor on that? And I was like, you know, it's really a blessing when you have a common goal that you're after, and you have an opportunity to say, how do we get something done together? I found her very collaborative, focused, and a team player. And the way we set that up, that worked very well. And we're very excited to see that work continuing under Mayor Wilson's leadership in the breakout later today. You can check that out. But without further ado, let me introduce Governor Tina Kotek to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. It's good to see you all. I want to thank Dan for his partnership and leadership and working together to chart that future for Portland. Special shout out, there's a breakout this afternoon in the Central City Task Force and other things going on, so please drop by. I hear Mayor Wilson's going to be there. Also want to say that I've been listening to what our legislative leaders have been saying today. And I think the takeaway that we should all focus on is there's an opportunity here. There's an openness, and I think a bipartisan openness for us to try new things. So I'm very excited to be working with the legislature and that leadership. We have things to do here in the state, and I think we are ready to take advantage of the challenges and opportunities before us. I believe that charting Oregon's future prosperity and helping every Oregonian have economic opportunity is truly a team sport. Big aspirations and big strategies require everyone to be bought in and engaged. I am incredibly proud to be your governor, and I'm proud to be the captain of Team Oregon. And my friends, we have work to do together for the state that we love. We have the opportunity to enter a decade of extraordinary economic growth and greater affordability if we put the right partnerships, policies, and strategies in place now. That means being honest about where we stand today. We must address our economic headwinds, sluggish job growth, elevated unemployment, and declining population trends. Some of our homegrown businesses have left, and bureaucratic red tape blocks critical investments. And we have a federal government increasing the cost of common goods through unpredictable tariffs, which places a particular burden on Oregon's trade-dependent economy. These headwinds, felt across the country, have really kicked up hard over the last 11 months under the Trump administration. Oregon cannot afford to be complacent. When the stakes are high, we must act with intentionality. Since taking office, I have focused on putting the essential pieces in place to address some of our long entrenched challenges: homelessness, housing, education, mental health, and addiction care. Working closely with our leaders in the legislature and with many of you in this room, we have successfully advanced critical policies and investments that are and will continue to bear fruit for our state. Through my homelessness emergency order, working with partners across our state, we have established a statewide shelter system with the goal of providing the stability needed to transition people from the streets into housing. We are lowering the rate of unsheltered homelessness and have prevented thousands from becoming homeless in the first place. We have unlocked over 50,000 new housing units since I took office, with more than 200,000 additional housing units being planned through new land use and zoning changes. We have followed, for our schools, the clear research to retool our schools and teach our youngest learners to read. I feel like this is the education group over here. We have banned cell phones in our classrooms so kids can stay connected and pay attention to learning. And we have reset how we will work with school districts, our school districts, to hold them accountable for the best student outcomes across our state. We have increased the number of mental health and addiction treatment beds with an additional 300 beds available today. That's actually 308, if I read my notes closely, and 683 more beds by 2027. And we are tackling the historic workforce shortage in our behavioral health world. Oregon now has to focus on the seamless, continuous execution of these policies and investments. We are in the process of continuous performance improvement across our state. We're making real progress on these core issues, each of them vital to Oregon's livability and well-being. And because of that, we have laid the foundation that we need to have to respond to today's economic headwinds. That's why I unveiled the Prosperity Roadmap last week, along Oregon's innovators and entrepreneurs. The Prosperity Roadmap is designed to harness Oregon's strengths and talents, such as promoting Oregon's lower cost West Coast location with direct access to the Pacific Rim, and strengthening Oregon's appeal as a hub for advanced manufacturing, clean energy, and global trade. Our exceptional quality of life, clean air, abundant fresh water, and a stunning natural environment makes Oregon not only a smart place to do business, but a desirable place to live, work, and raise a family. We're all here today because we care about Oregon. This event was established on the cliff of a recession 23 years ago. Since then, we have faced almost every kind of economic, social, and environmental challenge. We are resilient, and how Oregon steps up to a challenge is our unique secret sauce. Few examples illustrate this more clearly than what we witnessed this fall. Sometimes it takes an outside force to remind us of who we are and who we are not. When Portland was confronted with the threat of an unnecessary and unwanted military intervention by the Trump administration, Oregonians rediscovered their pride in their city of Portland and made a point of sharing it with the world. For several weeks, you couldn't glance at your phone without seeing a spontaneous outpouring of love for Portland, from everyday folks to journalists, businesses, and elected leaders alike, sharing images and stories of our largest and this vibrant city. The clear message in the form of thousands of images and videos was unmistakable. No one defines who we are except us. And that is a very important thing to remember. So I want to take a moment, and this isn't my strong suit sometimes, but we have to celebrate when there is success and accomplishment. So I want to go through a couple to remind all of us that despite the headwinds, there are things that are building towards the future. I want to talk about a combined $4 billion investment in our sports franchises, including the Thorns and the Trailblazers. I can't wait for opening night for the Portland Fire. Sport is in Oregon's DNA, and I'm very bullish about the future of sport in Oregon. We need to modernize the Moda Center and get ourselves an MLB team. Am I right? We have seen a record-breaking $2 billion investment from Phil and Penny Knight in the Knight Cancer Center at OHSU, telling the world that Oregon is a place where extraordinary people are going to make extraordinary things happen. OHSU and Portland are going to change how cancer care is delivered in this country, and we are going to continue to grow to be a place of excellence and innovation in the life sciences sector. Thank you, Phil and Penny Knight. We should be celebrating other transformative opportunities that Phil and Penny Knight have made possible. Let's talk about the 1803 Fund, committed to restoring and redeveloping historically Black areas of Portland. They have purchased $70 million worth of real estate in inner North Portland. And as Mayor Wilson has said, this investment is about revitalizing the soul of our city. Congratulations, 1803 Fund, for that investment. Probably a few folks in this room were with us a couple weeks ago when we celebrated the completion of the new Rothko wing at the Portland Art Museum, one of the largest arts and cultural capital projects in Oregon's history. It's a testament about what is possible for the arts in our state. Thank you very much, Portland Art Museum. The state has continued to be a partner not only in Portland, but around the state in particular investments. And I want to talk about the $10 million that is now going to the James Beard Public Market, a strategic investment that will create local jobs and help revitalize Portland's downtown. And shout out to the Food Forward folks. Food is our place to the future, right? So congratulations on the James Beard folks. These times also demand some new ideas, and I want to do a shout out to the work that's been done locally to waive system development charges to fast track the development of 5,000 new housing units in the city of Portland. And I want to thank the mayor and the city council here for making that happen. We have to say we're open for business, and we need to do more creative things like waiving SDC charges. Timberland, thank you. Timberlab, if all of you know who Timberlab is, they're doing cross-laminated timber manufacturing. They have acquired land and are investing in Millersburg down in the valley, $141 million to build a 185,000 square foot cross-laminated timber manufacturing facility. That's amazing investment in our community. And just last week, I was at Lamb Research, where they have invested $65 million in an expansion, creating space for up to 700 employees to continue to build and sustain the Silicon Forest here in Oregon. Thank you, Lamb Research. I know it seems a little long. I had to make this a little shorter, but there's a couple more to go. Hazelnut growers. Hazelnut Growers of Oregon purchased and installed new production equipment at its Donald, Oregon facility. The project will lead to the creation of 60 jobs, and this investment has drawn the attention of Ferrero, the industry's biggest customer, who buys over 35% of the total world supply of hazelnuts. And they are now looking a lot harder at what we can do in the Willamette Valley with our hazelnuts. So congratulations to the hazelnut growers. And again, there are many things, but I want to end with one over in Northeast Oregon. Karen Springs Mills. They produce premium stone milled flour. They are planning for a mill site on the Umatilla Indian Reservation near Pendleton. This plan includes the annual purchase of 1.8 million bushels of wheat per year from our growers for a total investment of $40 million and nearly 20 new jobs. That is investment. That is what is happening across our state. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not trying to leave anybody out. There's just the list is long. Sure, there are challenges, but there have been accomplishments. We are a leader in metals fabrication and transportation equipment manufacturing. We are leaders in the food and beverage industry, our ag products, our timber products, our semiconductor products. What we do here is the envy of other states, and we need to tell that story and continue to promote our state. When I was on the recent trade mission to South Korea and Japan, it was so gratifying to hear from our partners in Asia who really respect Oregon, want to be here, want to invest, and we're going to continue to pursue those partnerships because Oregon is open for business, and we want that partnership across the Pacific. All of these hard-won achievements, and some of them are complete, and some of them are in process, and there are more coming that you can't talk about because you have to wait till they're publicly announced, are exactly why we must come together to keep building momentum for economic prosperity across our state. These accomplishments show that we have a strong foundation to build on and reflect the vitality and resilience that define Oregon's communities. So why the Prosperity Roadmap last week? We have to have goals, we have to be intentional. There are 3 clear goals in that roadmap. And that roadmap came about from talking to more than 350 businesses and looking at what business associations were saying and listening to the economic researchers. We have to focus our conversation, and I would hope that everyone in this room will help us carry that roadmap forward so we can see the results that we need. And I think you could all agree on the top 3 goals that are there. We have to accelerate Oregon's economic growth. We have to restore our GDP to past levels. I want to outpace the national average, moving from the 1.7% we're at to 2.2%, which could increase state general fund resources by more than $4 billion through the 29-31 biennium. This is economic activity that allows us to do what we need to do to take care of our state. We need to do that. Goal number 2, we just need more living wage jobs and we need them now. We need to move from rank 23 in the CNBC workforce rank into the top 10 states in the country. That is a core indicator of economic health, and we're gonna get there together. And goal number 3, we have to grow and retain our Oregon businesses. Let's move from number 39 in the CNBC top states for business overall rank into the top 10 states nationally. Look, if Oregon can win a national championship, which they can, we can move these numbers, am I right? These are definitely reach goals, but frankly, I don't think we should have any other types of goals for our state. That's because I believe in what's possible, and when we build on our leadership, bring the right people together, and focus on our expertise and creativity toward a common goal, we can be successful. To support our common goals, I am going to be establishing a little extra heft and support in my office by establishing a Governor's Prosperity Council, convening business and workforce experts to support the roadmap and advise on additional recommendations. And I'd like to thank Curtis Robinhold, Executive Director of the Port of Portland, and Renee James, Founder and CEO of Ampere, for being willing to take my phone call and serve as co-chairs of the Prosperity Council. Thank you. I will also be naming a Chief Prosperity Officer in my office to help turn this roadmap into action and to serve as that central point of contact for businesses and community leaders across the state. Working with the council, my Prosperity Officer will develop recommendations to create jobs and grow our GDP, including work coming up in the 26th session and the 27th legislative session, because we need to have specific actions that we can take. I want to also underscore the importance of the workforce in this conversation. This isn't just about being open for business. It is about the people who are going to do and are doing the work in our state. We have incredible, amazing talent in Oregon, and we have to keep focus on encouraging their training and inspiring that talent so businesses can grow. And just so you know, my plan by the end of the year is to announce that Chief Prosperity Officer and the members of the council, so stay tuned for those announcements. And for the upcoming legislative session, I'm going to introduce a bill that will jumpstart the roadmap. My bill will work on establishing a fast-track program of streamlined permitting for our large projects that can create jobs and grow our economy. This program includes a requirement of our state agencies to review and inventory all their permit processes and accelerate how those processes are currently operating. And I also want to advocate for modernizing some of our economic development tools like enterprise zones and push the legislature, even in these challenging times, to dedicate one-time funding for industrial site readiness, which we need. And within state government, we have to continue to continuously improve what we're doing. So I'll be directing Business Oregon to create a comprehensive economic development strategy. I'm going to launch a global trade desk to focus on foreign trade and investment opportunities. And I'm directing all state agencies to be thinking and prioritizing economic development in their day-to-day work. These strategies are just the beginning. And just as we relied in my office on creative, ambitious leaders and everyday Oregonians to come together and put a prosperity roadmap together, I am counting on Oregonians in this room and across our state to help get it done. Because when we come together, when we work together, when we aspire together, we can make change and make things better. And that is the possibility that is ahead of us. So I have one final reflection before I close. One of the things that I've always appreciated about this summit and the Oregon Business Council is the focus on education. I'm going to continue to fight hard to have the strongest possible K-12 system that we can have and find sustainable ways to strengthen post-secondary education to meet our workforce needs. But I also know that we need to dig deeper for early childhood education. And I am planting a flag here today to ask all of you to join me in advancing a new statewide conversation about pre-K learning and access to affordable childcare. We simply cannot talk about the need for future educational success for our children or the needs of our working families without talking seriously about early childhood education. Oregon can be a leader on this issue, and I look forward to having that conversation with all of you in the months ahead. Like I said, you're all here because you love Oregon, and the networking's really great, but you love Oregon, which is why you're here. Each of us has a role to play to create an Oregon that we want and that we deserve. As your governor, my promise to you and to every Oregonian is that I will stay at the table until we forge a way forward. My approach has always been to find a path to yes. You know, saying no is easy. Sitting on the sidelines and offering commentary is easy. Anyone can second guess from the bleachers. But our state deserves more than that. So I'm on the field running hard for Team Oregon, and I am asking all of you to join me so we can build that future together. Thank you very much for being here today, and thank you for your attention.